The Democratic frontrunner in the race for the White House made a stop in Missouri today. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Reek.
And I'm Brittany Pieper. Hillary Clinton addressed issues surrounding the Charleston shooting and race in her speech today, which took place just miles from Ferguson. We have team coverage beginning with KOMU 8's Jacob Jones. He joins us live from the church in Florissant where Clinton spoke earlier this afternoon. Jacob?
Hillary Clinton made a campaign stop here in Florissant to give a speech. After her speech, which only lasted about 30 minutes, Clinton sat down with community leaders to talk about minority and poverty issues here in St. Louis County. Reporting live in Florissant, Jacob Jones, KOMU 8 News.
The Missouri Republican Party issued a strongly worded statement about Clinton's speech. It reads, "The number of Americans who view Hillary Clinton unfavorably is increasing the longer she campaigns, so we are thrilled she is visiting the Show Me State." Now Missourians will have an opportunity to see the real Hillary, out of touch, untrustworthy, and scandal-plagued.
Those both for and against Hillary Clinton's bid for the White House turned out for her speech today. Let's send it back out live to Florissant to KOMU 8's Andrea Gonzalez. She got reaction from those on both sides.
The parking lots were full and people waited.
That was going to be the defining factor for women and the defining factor for people of color.
There were a few people who were unhappy about Clinton's visit. There were protesters on the sidewalk outside, and they had some choice words for the presidential hopeful.
I'm tired of oligarchies. I don't want any more Bushes. I don't want any more Clintons, and I don't want any more Kennedys. We need new blood.
Clinton is now on her way to an event in Chicago. Reporting from Florissant in St. Louis County, Andrea Gonzalez, KOMU 8 News.
For more on Clinton's speech, you can visit our website, KOMU.com.
A grant program in Missouri allows organizations to use shredded scrap tires for playground bedding. But first, they need approval from the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. KOMU 8's Sam Neff has more on one playground that was denied the grant, and the reason might surprise you. Sam?
Trinity Lutheran Church on Rollins Street in Columbia first applied for this grant in 2012 to improve the playground for its kids. Lawyers for the church say it was denied because it is a church. The church claimed the DNR was denying its religious freedom, but the case was initially dismissed in court. The church's representation is currently preparing a petition for the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. One lawyer representing Trinity Lutheran Church says the DNR denying the grant is confusing given how the church ranked in their application.
There were 44 applications. Trinity Lutheran ranked number 5, and there were 14 grants that were given that year. So they clearly would have had a grant that year because they met all the requirements for the DNR. Just the DNR said, no, we're not going to give it to you because you're a church.
Stephanie Diedrich with the Department of Natural Resources sent us an email. While she did not directly respond about the case, she said the DNR would be changing language on its application forms to better reflect its understanding of constitutional limitations with religious entities.
Missourians who suffer from eating disorders will soon get help when it comes to their insurance. Governor Nixon recently signed a bill that improves insurance coverage for treatments of eating disorders. Providers expect more patients because of the change. They say it helps erase the stigma of mental illness.
I think that we're looking at not just looking at the number on the scale anymore of what weight are we at to be healthy, but we're also looking at the balance that we need mentally to be healthy as well.
Myers says Lifesong plans to add more workshops to accommodate more patients. Governor Nixon said more than 200,000 Missourians suffer from eating disorders.
A Sedalia man convicted of murder died Saturday. 67-year-old Joseph Arbeter was serving a life sentence without parole for the murder of a Marshall woman. A jury found him guilty after his landlord found the remains of Mandy Black. Authorities say he died of natural causes.
Columbia police are looking for a man after responding to a domestic abuse call at the Colonial Village Mobile Home Park this afternoon. Investigators say an argument occurred between a man and a woman while they were driving in separate vehicles. Police say the man was in violation of a restraining order. When officers arrived, he took off and ran to the Bear Creek Trail.
Yeah, we used the canines to come in and try to track to pick up his scent, but they weren't successful. We didn't find him.
Police say the next step is filing an arrest warrant for the man.
Rallies and protests continue in South Carolina as that debate over the Confederate flag roars on. KOMU 8's Samantha Myers joins us with your news from around the nation.
Protesters came together outside South Carolina's Capitol demanding the removal of the Confederate flag from the building. Hundreds of people rallied as the state's House and Senate go back in session today. Politicians, community activists, and religious leaders called to remove the flag after the killings of 9 black people inside Charleston Church. Several more companies are banning the sale of Confederate flag items. Sears, Kmart, eBay, and Amazon joined Walmart in deciding against selling the items. A search on the Sears website brought up a few shirts this morning, but none were available for purchase. The bans come as South Carolina's governor called on lawmakers to remove the flag from the state house. Senators began questioning witnesses today about the dangers of Takata airbag inflators. The faulty airbags are linked to 8 deaths and more than 100 injuries. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has now expanded recalls to nearly 34 million vehicles and 11 auto manufacturers. The manufacturer has still not found a definitive answer why its airbags can explode. And that's your first look around the nation.
Members of the Afghan parliament returned to work today after Taliban attacked the building yesterday. A suicide bomber damaged the entrance and gunmen tried to storm the compound. Security was tight today with armed forces guarding the area. The bombing happened as lawmakers were to vote on a new defense minister.
Vice President Joe Biden warned China against using coercion and intimidation to settle disputes today. Biden and Secretary of State John Kerry appeared at the annual U.S.-China Security and Economic Dialogue. Leaders from both nations came together for what Kerry says will be frank talks. The talks come with rising tensions over cybersecurity, intellectual property protections, and China's military posture.
The United Nations opened an office today in South Korea to keep an eye on human rights in North Korea. North Korea threatened unspecified retaliation because of the office. They also canceled plans to attend university games in South Korea next month. South Korea's foreign minister stressed the UN office is about universal rights, not hidden agendas. More rain is possible. Let's send it over to Kenton for a check of the forecast.
Thanks, Jim, and good afternoon, everyone. Already seeing showers and break from that today. A great day feels like forecast after the break.
A woman in Australia recovering after her pants sent her to the hospital. How that happened, coming up later in the show.
Can't wait to see that. This is a live look over the Lake of the Ozarks on this Tuesday afternoon. It's 5:08. This is KOMU 8 News, first at 5. Coverage you can count on. Thanks, Kenton.
You're welcome.
A new MU study says a coevolution between plants and butterflies might change the taste of condiments. The study says the sharp taste in mustard and horseradish is a result of the plant's defense system to ward off pests. Researchers found cabbage butterflies were able to detoxify these sharp tastes, and that's how coevolution started. And according to MU researcher Chris Piers, this process might change condiments in the future.
So we're not sure what the future is going to hold for the taste of mustard, but we do know that it's going to change. And so we'll have to see what the result of the arms race is to find out what the future mustard on your hot dog will taste like.
Piers says the process can create better food production by either enhancing the taste or having stronger plants. That's pretty deep stuff. All right, so's this. A popular fashion sent a woman to the hospital for 4 days.
After the break, we'll give you this skinny about the dangers of tight jeans. MU researchers are part of groundbreaking research in the fight against HIV. Researchers have developed the most complete model yet of a particular protein. The new image of that protein helps them understand the lifespan of the virus and puts them one step closer to finding a new drug.
It is important to continue work on HIV research to come up with new drugs, despite the fact that the existing ones are working quite well. And the reason is because there's emergence of drug resistance that makes the current drugs not useful, most likely, in the near future.
Researchers say the lab received a grant for funding to start creating a new drug, and they aim to produce it within the next 5 years. French scientists have identified a specific microbe that may explain why some people lose weight more easily than others. In a study of 49 overweight patients, people with higher amounts of the microbe had higher insulin levels and less body fat than those with lower amounts. Patients who had the high levels of the microbe to start out with showed stronger improvements in their metabolism and fat distribution. Doctors in Australia warn against the dangers of skinny jeans after a woman went to the hospital after squatting for several hours in the pants. The woman suffered muscle damage, swelling, and nerve blockages in her legs. The 35-year-old had spent most of the previous day helping someone move home, squatting for long periods of time while emptying cupboards. And after a 4-day visit to the hospital, she did fully recover. A survey shows fewer than 1 in 10 older heart patients get defibrillators within a year of their heart attacks. Implanted defibrillators are linked to a 36% lower risk of death in the 2 years after a heart attack. Researchers say older age and a mandatory waiting period of 40 days to get the device after a heart attack may contribute to lower use.
The Confederate flag debate: should retail companies pull those flags from shelves? That's coming up next in today's talk. As protests and rallies continue in South Carolina, Amazon, eBay, and Walmart, among others, have pulled Confederate flags from shelves. We asked your opinion in today's talk, and we begin with Stephanie. She says, "I think it's wrong. That flag is a part of history and has nothing to do with racism. The public needs to put things in perspective, and it's time to stop dwelling on the past and move on." Bobby says the flag is just part of history. Please just leave it the way it is. So childish to even consider doing away with it. Chris disagrees, saying, "I can't believe most of these retailers still sold it. I guess you go where the money is until someone says something." And Robert says, "Maybe it is time to put away symbols of hate. Yes, that flag has a heritage to it, but it also has a lot of hate with it as well."
Let's get another look at our top story this afternoon. Presidential candidate Hillary Clinton made a stop in Missouri today. KOMU8's Jacob Jones joins us live from Florissant with more on that visit.
If you missed it at the top of our show, reporting live in Florissant, Jacob Jones, KOMU8 News.
And coming up on KOMU8 News at 6, a local entrepreneur is pushing for small businesses in Columbia.
He is helping small businesses start their own gigs. That's coming up on KOMU8 News at 6. Kenton.
Otherwise, temperatures cool down tonight.
All right, that's our time for now. Thanks for joining us.
Have a great night.